What's up? So, Twiztid, ICP, Psychopathic Records artists, underrated. I think underappreciated. See, there was a comparison between 50 Cent and ICP. Two different kinds of music. Uh, Most people don't like ICP. As a matter of fact, when I was in college, one kid called it "it's kid shit," is how he'd say kid shit. Not so much. I mean, their stuff isn't Hot Topic. It's in Spencer Gifts. Some places had pulled it because of the whole gang thing and stuff like that. ICP did their sermon on that in 2012. So my thoughts, mm, underrated. No, no, I don't think underrated. More people are starting to get into ICP. It's starting to become more mainstream than it was ever before. So I'm really not sure underrated would be the right to go with the artists. I would most definitely have to call it underappreciated. I think people listen to some songs. However, I think some songs from Twiztid and ICP are overrated. Boogie Woogie Woo, The Ned and Game. I hate The Ned and Game. And that's because, people who listen to ICP through their friends, at least out here, it was in fact the Ned and Game that everyone liked. Mostly the girls. For some reason, girls seem to like the songs like that. They appreciate things that are, uh, I don't even know the word for it, but they like Candy Shop from 50 Cent. They like songs that they can dance to. A lot of them like songs that think very, I guess, kind of like, I don't want to say belittle. I don't know exactly the right phrase for it. But anyway, songs like that are overrated, and that's pretty much what the big hit is. Remixes of the radio songs. If you turn on the radio, it's the same 10 songs every day, no matter what station it is, whether you listen to country or rock or whatever. And then, they switch it up after, 6 months of that being played. And then, a little while later, the songs you're listening to 6 months ago are now done into remixes, and those are played on the radio. Um, I agree when you say narrow minded, focus, conformity. It's not what people want to listen to. When people were partying in college, it was always the same songs and it was always the same groups. 3 6 Mafia's Lollipop. Girls dug that song. So you see what I'm saying with the genre and the music and what's being sung. But if you could put, Party at the Liquor Store and, a couple of others that people could dance to from Psychopathic Records, a lot of good dance songs. But no, they won't listen to it because it's not their mainstream. It's unappreciated and it looks down. Again, I'd say part of the image. Uh, Probably some of the people they had met who listen to music and take it, way too far. So underrated? No, I think they've pretty much gotten their rated as the most hated band in the world. Meaning they got their place in society. They got put, and they've got their title for it. You know, dubbed the world's most hated band, ICP. They got their T-shirts on it. They're proud of this fact. So we kind of put ourselves there. We kind of put them there, and they put themselves there. We're all put into this the cesspool of society. We've been put way down here when everything else is way up here. Do I see Twiztid changing that? Possibly. A lot of people listen to Head PE who don't listen to ICP or Twiztid or any of that. But like I said in one of my videos, Abominations has been appreciated by somebody who does not like rap music, who does not like ICP, who does not like the scene. Maybe Twiztid will go someplace with it and it won't be underrated or unappreciated anymore. They'll get theirs. Just like I wish ICP would. But ICP kind of has this stigma, this animosity against them that society and ourselves has both put them in their place, so to speak. They've got their place on the charts. They may never make it to the mainstream like we'd want it to, but I personally don't want to hear that stuff played on the radio anyways. because I'd never get a chance to because I hate radio stations. You look at ICP's songs, Let's Go All the Way, which was once on MTV at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Um, the Ned and Game, Fuck, Fuck the World, just a few others, that I could think of that have been, underrated. But a lot of their stuff has been overrated, like those songs. But underrated, I think Hell's Pit had a couple of underrated songs. Burning Up, uh, Attack of the Basshead, um, even Walk Into the Darkness was epic. So, Juggalo Homies, overrated. Juggalo Family from Dark Lotus, overrated. Hot Poison, underrated. I could go back and forth on what's overrated and what's underrated. I'd have to say the top two is Boogie Woogie Woo, the Ned Game. I think all of Malenko, most of it anyways, was overrated. If you listen to a lot of a lot of the Riddle Box too, Chicken Hunting, I think we can all pretty much agree that's an overrated song. As far as Abominations go in some of those songs, I don't know. Maybe we'll look back and go, yeah, Abominations was pretty overrated. But right now we seem pretty happy with it. Everyone seems to pretty much agree that Abominations is the best or one of the best CDs they've come out with. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. It's hard to judge what society's stigma is and what for. If you listen to club music, if you go up to the club, and that's a big thing out in this town because there's not much to do, you go to the Club 550, and you look at what's going on and listen to the music. I wanted to hang myself when I was listening to some of this music because it was god awful. I didn't mind listening to Zeppelin and Ozzy Osbourne and the songs they were playing on the rock station. That was awesome. I was comfortable with that. Some kid asked them to play rap, and I was like, okay. I was thinking, maybe some Busta Rhymes because he was fairly mainstream at one point. Then he dropped down into the underground. A lot of artists are doing that now. But then, they started playing songs from a bunch of different artists, and there is one artist I can tell you who I cannot stand. And I don't like his music because he sounds the same and all of them. And he's a big name. And he's obnoxious. There's nothing I like about this guy. I can't think of his name right now. I'll think about it here in a minute. You guys might know who I'm talking about. Soulja Boy, I don't like Soulja Boy. Although I liked his verse in the remake of Savage's Swing. That was alright. The fuck was that guy's name? It's gonna bug me now. I'm gonna have to look this up here for a quick second. Man, computer froze. So anyways, while I'm waiting for this to load and my Windows Internet Explorer is not responding, underrated, I can think of other groups that are underrated other than just ICP and Twiztid. I think Tech, I wouldn't call them underrated or overrated. Some of his songs, I guess, could be. Caribou Lou, definitely overrated. Got the name, Akon. Didn't even type in anything, just remembered it. Akon. Horrible. I hate Akon. I want to hit that guy. Fucking hate his music. As far as mainstream goes, when Busta Rhymes was on TV and stuff like that, I dug Busta Rhymes. I didn't much care for all 6s and 7s from Tech. I really didn't. I like Tech, but a lot of his stuff is, like I said, overrated. Caribou Lou, definitely one of them that I can think of off the top of my head. Underrated, I thought The Beast was epic. Einstein was awesome. But, I don't know. I think there's a lot of songs out there, a lot of groups that haven't gotten their recognition. But there's a difference between underrated, haven't making a name for yourself yet, or simply just being hated. Yeah, you're acknowledged. See, underrated to me is, acknowledgement. People would say some movies are overrated or underrated. Knock Knock to me was underrated. There's a few others I can think of that were underrated, but I can think of a lot of them that were overrated. The Expendables, War, Crank, a few others definitely overrated. And I never really liked the terms overrated or underrated because to me it's just where the appreciation is. You go with what's popular. People who are in the mainstream usually use the term overrated or underrated. But as far as ICP goes and Psychopathic Records, they've already been established. They've gotten their acknowledgments, and not a whole lot of people like them. That's just how it is. That'll never change, ever. Nothing will ever be done about that, unless Twiztid somehow gains a whole new thing with the juggalos, the juggalettes, the female juggalos. I got to make sure to put that out there, and a few others, and maybe a whole new group of people, maybe a couple of the technicians will get into this stuff. But ICP is pretty much they've narrow-minded their group. But as I said in some of my previous videos, you look at the Wraith, and a whole bunch of people came in from that era, from the Wraith era. Malenko brought in a whole bunch of people, and even though it was just a few songs, they still kind of crawled in and made their bed with just a few songs. Think of Rammstein's Du Hast. I fucking hate Du Hast because of the fact that someone who doesn't know much about Rammstein or anything about them, they know Du Hast. That's just my idea of what everyone's got their own sense of what overrated and what underrated is. Me personally, I think Du Hast was overrated. Ned and Game, overrated. There's just a bunch of them. Kid Crusher, he's pretty much put in his place. If you look at horrorcore in of itself, it's a narrow focus. Just like with the mainstream, it's a narrow focus. It just happens that their narrow focus gets a lot of people's attentions. People like to dance. People do this. They use simplicity and simplistic messages and things that have no grounds of intellect whatsoever, and it's used. And it's pushed, and they dance, and somebody hooks up with somebody. Whatever. Or, you've got the person who listens to the old classics of rock and roll and stuff like that. And you really can't consider that overrated or underrated because that's been handed in history. That's legacy. You can't sit there and go, School's Out from Alice Cooper is overrated. You could, but I'd see it as, the song Vengeance is Mine from Alice Cooper wasn't underrated, but it was unrecognized by a lot of people. So in a way, that's underrated. But there's different terms and people use it differently. That's just how that goes. There's no avoiding that. There's no dodging that. As far as ICP goes, they made their bed. Twiztid, they're doing their own thing. So hopefully, wherever it is they go, whatever it is they do, they gain a whole new background. They gain a whole new following to attach with the Juggalos and things like that. And they might even start slowly branching away from the Juggalos. Who knows? ICP with Mighty Death Pop. There was a lot of pandering in that album. And that's another thing that'll judge something, whether it's overrated or underrated, is by the rate of pandering. How much is used. Fago, they did the first Fago song. To me, Mighty Death Pop it took them 2 years to do. 4 years, 2 years, whatever. It took a decent amount of time. Much longer than it took for them to do Abominations. They recorded in 3 weeks, and the album was mixed in 3 months? I mean, come on. Shortest amount of time, and it kicks off like no other. Mighty Death Pop was overhyped, which was a big thing of mine. They had an infomercial, they had all these things. Bang Pow Boom was hyped from what I remember, it was hyped up for a year. And Mighty Death Pop just had it was a lot of pandering. They did the Chris Brown thing, which they could have gone completely different with. I could have picked a million plus other people to sing about other than Chris Brown, but that's who they chose to call out in this album. I got a feeling that a lot of Mighty Death Pop is going to be overrated. The only song I liked on that album that I can say I enjoyed and don't mind listening to was Night of the Chainsaw. But it had a good beat and it had kind of the same effect that some of the songs in Abominations had. That could have been part of it. I don't know. I really don't care. I just know that I like the song. I hate her to death, and the fact that they've made music videos of a ton of their songs says something. That tells me that yeah, maybe they're not underrated. Maybe they're starting to move some way with it. Maybe they're trying to get the attention of other people. They did remixes of songs from way back, Jump Around and all these other things that would catch other people's attention. To me, I think Mighty Death Pop was their plea to try and get other people to acknowledge them. Not a bad move considering how the FBI perceives us. Maybe somebody will have some sort of backing, some sort of distance to walk to try and get in and be part of all of this, and that's what ICP might be trying to do. A lot of people would call this selling out. That is a term that is most often used and was used a lot, especially throughout a lot of the punk rock stuff. People who stick to Anti-Flag, then they got their record deals and they went, well, no, I don't like Anti-Flag anymore. The guys who did the Bottom of a Bottle, Smile Empty Soul, sold out. MTV, VH1, when they were actually doing music, made a lot of things overrated. And a lot of other groups made things underrated. I just see it as appreciated, unappreciated, and shit that's just overplayed and overheard. Overplayed and overheard as I'd go is overrated. That'd be my term of it. If I try and skip over Boogie Woogie Woo in the Ned game. I don't care for those songs, and I don't care if I'd never listen to them again, personally. But I'm like that with a lot of songs, especially all the shit that's played on the radio. Some of the country shit that's played, they play Blown Away way too much. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't even go whether that's overrated, underrated, or whatever, because I don't care for it. I focus on the music that I do like, and if someone who I'm trying to have a conversation with about the music, or they start up with, "Hey, I like ICP," I'm like, "Oh yeah, name what's your favorite song?" Stuff like that. "Oh, I like Malenko for the album." "Okay, what's your favorite song off of Malenko?" 9 times out of 10, it'll be Ned Gain or Boogie Woogie Woo. I promise you. So is ICP underrated? Yeah. Oh, no. I think they're starting to become overrated. I think they're starting to pander too much. And I think they're trying to branch and outreach that could have been done a while back if they'd have tried doing this during Carnival of Carnage and Ringmaster, but they didn't have the funds. And they got all this backing. They got Mighty Death Pop, and they went, "Here you go. Let's try and aim for this group of people. Let's try and do it this way." As I said, the only song I cared for was Night of the Chainsaw. And they made a music video for that too, which kind of pissed me off. So, I mean, the music video was good, but I'd rather not watch a music video. I'd rather just listen to the song. Don't care if I see a music video, which is really searched on YouTube. People are looking for the official music video of something, which tells me lack of creativity. And they're just trying to pander into the people who want the music video. So, yeah, overrated, underrated, I don't care. But as far as I'm concerned, they made their bed. They chose their place. They stuck to it. They decided to do it this way. That's where we're at. They got their fan base. Everything's pretty much been established. As far as I'm concerned, it'd be a little too late in the game for them to start with that. And I think, in a way, it could be too early for us to tell. Because in 6 years, we'll look back like we do with the Wraith era, and we'll go, "Hey, remember when Mighty Death Pop came out and they started doing all these music videos, and that's when people started catching on when they started doing their remakes?" And then we're going to get pissed. And that's what I find to be interesting. We're going to get pissed when it's overrated, and we're pissed that it's underrated, or we're talking about it being underrated or whatever. My thought is simply this: I enjoy the music. I don't care for what I call their music because that's all I've got to listen to on the radio. I own one CD right now. Two. One's in bad shape. It's the Sex Pistols. I love the Sex Pistols. And it's never mind the Bullocks. Here's the Sex Pistols album. And I've got, of course, Monoxide's version of Abominations. I had all my other CDs stolen, so all I do is I use my YouTube converter and I get the songs that I like. My list for my MP3s is very short. I've got full albums of all the 6 Joker cards. I've got 2 of ABK's major albums, Hatchet Warrior and Dirty History. The other ones I didn't care for. Not even Medicine Bag. Because I thought Medicine Bag was a little overrated. And I was talking to my friend Steve, and he said that it seems to be mainstream, like it's starting to go mainstream. Pandering, they're starting to branch, they're starting to do things differently. Some people like it, some people don't. But those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. Hopefully this helped. Hopefully this was bringing something to the table. Take care.